Hello YouTube and welcome to another moto vlog. I'm coming at you live early in the morning in Sterling, Virginia, and here we are riding out from, is this still Herndon? I don't know where this is. Dulles, Herndon, Sterling area. And we are going up to Pennsylvania to visit a abandoned town called Centralia? Something like that. I did literally zero research before this and basically zero afterwards, so I don't know. It's not like I'm not interested in history, it's just this to me was always more of like a motorcycle ride thing, and the attraction was kind of like whatever, it's just a place to go, in my opinion. If I want to explore and do this, that, and the other, I'd probably end up, taking a car and leaving out super early and yada 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 from there, and just trying to power down there as fast as possible. Anyway, as you can see, and maybe the topic that I'm avoiding is the scooter. And then I'm going to be riding up to Pennsylvania. If you've seen this channel before, you know that the scooter is plenty capable. I mean, while a trip like this is a bit longer than I normally do, it's certainly capable, and we will see throughout this video some of the strengths and weaknesses of the scooter on the trip. And we will see, the route and Centralia. And I also have a little bit of a topic. I wrote up some notes and stuff, because why not? I wrote up some notes yesterday while I was editing all the clips together here. One thing to note, there are a few sections, maybe somewhere around 2/3 of the way in, and then again at the end of the video where there is no background audio. My GoPro did that thing again where it just doesn't record audio, but hey, what are you gonna do? Of course, this bike has a lot of wind protection, even compared to the GS, so you can hear my awful communication talking. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, it's just you can hear me talking right into the comms systems, but you can't hear what anyone else is saying. So I kind of just try to turn that down and ignore it for the most part. Like, if I say something, if I remember myself saying something important here, I'm listening to the audio while I'm recording this, so I can always point it out. But otherwise, when shit starts going wrong, it's important. I don't even know what I'm saying. We're just going to talk right over all that throughout the video. Of course, now we're entering into Maryland via the Potomac River here. Whatever bridge this is, I don't know. This is Route 15. If you miss your exit on 495, this is your next bridge over to Maryland. If you're going west, at least. So now we're gonna go meet our buddy, the rest of our ride up at Point of Rocks. So right now it's us three, and now we're gonna meet, what, two more bikes?
You can't turn there, so I'd say make this second.
See, you can hear me talking. I'm just gonna have to sit here and make sure I talk over all this, because it doesn't matter. So yeah, I do have an annoying, ranty topic to go on. So don't worry, you're not gonna miss out on the Sterling Moto content you know and enjoy. Maybe because it's only like 5 in the morning, I'm in a weird mood right now. I'm still kind of tired. Ever since this ride, or even the day before, I haven't been sleeping super well. Not sure what's going on with all that. Last night I tried eating a little more food than I normally do. Just so I know I'm not like losing weight. That helped a little, but I went to sleep early and now I'm up early. I just can't stay asleep. Like, I fall asleep and then an hour later I'm like, oh, I'm awake. I probably have to start using the CPAP machine again. Being hard-headed with that since I lost weight, but I need to get it recalibrated and all that dealt with. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. We'll see. So you could sort of see one of the issues with the scooter there. I mean, it's slow. Like, let's get back to the biking right there. The scooter is very slow off the line, the acceleration and the power. I mean, I think at best we're talking like 16 horsepower probably at the rear wheel. I might even be north of the real number there. We've got a bike that's over 400 pounds. You know, maybe even closer to 450 pounds with all the stuff on it. So it takes a while to get going. You know, the CVT on this bike, you can think of maybe more like a 2-speed kind of. When you're at low speeds, you know, getting off the line and up to maybe 25 miles an hour or so, it slips. So it's kind of like a first gear ish kind of feeling, and then once you get to 25 or 30, I don't know the exact number, the transmission like locks into like a fixed gear, and from that point the revs go up and down like you're in gear on, you know, a motorcycle or a car, you know, like a automatic or manual car, not a CVT car. So it's kind of interesting, just like a 2-speed. So it's really designed, I think, for, again, lightweight. It's cheapness, you know. Maybe a little bit of reliability in there since it is a Honda as well. So that's gonna be your big downside when you're riding with other riders. And this is why, honestly, this is like the first actual group ride I've done with this scooter, and I don't think I'm gonna take it on a lot more, especially with people who aren't, you know, people I know and ridden with a number of times, because this thing just, it can't keep up. When you twist the throttle on any remotely modern big motorcycle, you're just gonna, I will not physically be able to keep up with you on the scooter. Even at full throttle, it's like you doing a 10th throttle. So if you know, kind of open it up at all, bye-bye, see you later, you know, alligator. But if you're riding with people who understand that, you know, if they're gonna open it up, they're gonna wait, and you know, I think my buddy, what really prompted me to do this, one was that my GS right now is well above the mileage it's supposed to be at for a service, for its valve check. And I don't think it's a huge deal, but knowing that this is going to be such a long ride and this, that, and the other, I felt like, you know, I don't want to put a bunch of miles on the bike when it already is, you know, due for the service, overdue for the service. And two, my friend said he's going to be on this WR250R, which, I mean, let's be fair, it doesn't make exactly a whole lot more horsepower than 18 either, especially since he has the stock exhaust on it. And a fairly, I think it does have power commander, but I'm not sure what state of tune it's in either. Anyway, it's not very fast either, so I wasn't, you know what I mean? Now it's us two on these little single-cylinder bikes with, you know, the 3 other guys on the larger multi-cylinder bikes. So it all worked out. You know, we're taking it easy. I think you'll see throughout these highway clips, like, the general theme here is that, you know, we're going slow. We're getting passed by, like, everybody. I do remember us passing a number of cars throughout the day. I don't really show that much bias, I guess, just to make it more dramatic. Like, look how slow we are. I mean, we're going, usually, I'd say we're going at least the speed limit the whole way. Especially considering the types of roads we're on, I don't mind this slower pace on a bike, around here especially. This isn't an interstate. There are a ton of intersections. And yeah, I mean, a road like this, despite what it looks like, is definitely not, you know, the safest thing in the world. Even compared to like a twisty road, I would say. This is the kind of road that, like, you know, you got those left turners, you got right turners, you got the cross traffic issues that really are dangerous to motorcyclists. So keeping your speeds down, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to keep you alive, but there's certainly a chance, because, you know, you can stop a lot faster, you can change direction a lot faster. So of course, let's get on to the main topic. I think the scooter thing is almost done. I'll talk about some of the other stuff later, I think, if it comes to it. So the main topic was, of course, prompted by what else but that 4.9 video where he very, you know, confidently asserts this is what, you know, you should be doing, push the bike down, yada yada. This kind of glossing over a lot of details, and I think the unsaid theme and kind of conclusion of that video was more like, you've been told you should hang off the bike, But hey, you know, there's other ways to ride. Like, don't just like take hanging off and looking like Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez or whoever the hell, you know, as gospel. When you're riding around on the streets on what's probably not a factory, you know, MotoGP bike, on, you know, street tires, etc., etc. Oh, let's go back to the video here. We're pulling over. There was some technical issues. I can't remember the exact details, so we take a little stop on the highway here. I don't like doing this. Sometimes it gets warranted though, so what do you got to do, you know? I'm the one in the back, so I don't pull like right up against the Jersey wall there, or the barrier. I want to at least, I don't know, you know, I mean.
A block.
And then yeah, we sit there for a minute. That was, you know, cut, and then now watch. Here's where the real,
throttle!
yeah, you can really yell it.
Bye guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I going 60 yet? No, I'm going 60.
I should have timed that. I didn't though. I could throw a timer up there if I can remember. Because if I write a marker in now, it'll stop the recording. I don't want to do that. I want to try to make this as uncut as I can. Now I'm still going full throttle right now. This is all full throttle, but I mean, yeah, I'm going like 75, 80 miles an hour, but still. That's just what that's what they have to understand. Like, if they're gonna get up to, say, you know, pretty quick up to the speed limit, or even a little faster, they're gonna have to kind of cruise there, you know, say 65, and I'm just gonna have to go full throttle and crank it up, and I'll go 80 eventually, and I'll, you know, that's a 15 mile an hour difference. So I mean, if you do the math here, right, it's not exciting, but I will catch up.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, 4 hours.
As long as they, you know, have some level of understanding. So we advance further. I skip a lot of this. This is, you know, what, an hour and 8 minutes already. So I try to cut out as much of this highway ride as I can. So anyways, let's go back to this video. So right, he says, you know, don't necessarily just believe that you should hang off, and definitely, you know, try pushing the bike down. And I have to agree with that.
Down with the shit,
and I think the most interesting part of the video, and I did mention it on this ride, probably pretty poorly. I'm bad at communicating my thoughts, like always, right? Especially if I get challenged in the moment, because I'm even talking about it right here. You can see me pushing the bike down a little bit.
That is a legitimate street line. That is a legitimate street line.
That's a legitimate. I don't even know what's going on. Anyways, I'm listening to myself too much. I almost feel like I'm gonna have to turn this down if I'm gonna talk about my topic here before I get distracted by what I'm saying. There we go. So I think the way that the information was presented was the most interesting thing. The Fortnite video really, I mean, there's this, he has a obligation, I think, with the way his channel is set up and the number of viewers he has and what the channel is trying to accomplish. He has an obligation to make the video concise and interesting. And in doing that, a lot of assumptions about the viewer's intelligence and level of knowledge about riding are made, I think. You know, like, this isn't the kind of video that a beginner rider at all is gonna watch. This is definitely a video for someone who,
it's a friendly rivalry. I feel like for,
you know, they have confidence in kind of just moving around with the bike, moving around on the bike, maybe doing some like low speed stuff here and there, or maybe not. But I feel like if you're not confident in that and you end up with this video, I don't know. I mean, I think you're gonna get the wrong impression, because I think one thing he really didn't talk about too much that he should have is like the degrees of hanging off and all these other things. Like, it's one thing to kind of just like lean the other way, like mildly with your upper body. It's another thing to really go whole hand with it with just your upper body, and then bringing your lower body into the equation. It's another thing. You also have to worry about with body position. You know, what are you doing with your feet? Especially, you know, and of course the timing of it all. Like, are you gonna start hanging off well before the corner, or are you gonna adjust your body position in the middle of the corner? And I don't want to get into all that, but like, those things are very important when it comes to the whole body position. Just saying push the bike down or hang off is like a huge amount of just like glossing over what hanging off really is doing for you. What it's doing against you, of course. There are negatives to hanging off versus kind of just being neutral and loose as possible. right? Because hanging off does imply a level of like tightness on your body, like you're working your muscles to contort your body into a specific position in order to, right, you know, adjust the center of gravity of the motorcycle. So as opposed to just sitting there in the middle of the bike, you're very loose, right? All your weight is just kind of going straight down, and if you have decent posture, it's just going kind of like straight down to your butt or whatever, depending on if you're on a bike like, say, this scooter or my GS, it's just going straight down your butt at least. If you're hanging off, though, especially if you're moving your butt, like you're trying to, basically what you're trying to do is if you're hanging off on the inside, you're trying to get your weight like over the road. So it's almost like you're hanging up. You're using like your contact points with your legs to support your body weight, right? You're not using your upper body at all. That I'd say that is a big negative on the road. Like if you're doing that and hanging off on the road, if you're a, you know, a high-end athlete or something, okay, fine. You could probably do that all day and it's really not a big deal. If you're a normal person though, like go do, and you think you can do this all day, go do a track day. Go do, you know, 7 20-minute sessions on whatever bike. I don't care if it's, you know, a 250 or whatever, and actually hang off, like legitimately move half a butt cheek, get your upper body down and on the inside, you know, the whole thing, the whole shebang, Marc Marquez style, and do that every turn for all 7 20-minute sessions and see how you feel. Even if you're going slow, especially if you're going slow, like stuck behind people. You're gonna hate your life if you're not an athlete, trust me. And doing that on the road, I think, is dangerous because on the road you have to watch out for so many, you know, unforeseen hazards with like cross traffic and everything. Also, as 49 says, hanging off messes with your vision. Not only are you more to the inside of the corner, which like blocks sight lines around blind corners, but your head is all like, you're all leaned over, and you're moving your head around, right? So you're going from upright on the straights to like really, you know, tons of lean on the corners, like 60 plus degrees. Even if the bike's not lean 60 degrees, you might be lean 60 degrees if you're hanging off a lot. And that can really mess with your sense of vision and just disorient you. And again, on an unknown road or even a known road with all kinds of distractions everywhere, it's not cool. So yeah, hanging off doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I feel like on the video you do see me hang off sometimes. That's 100% for fun. I'm not doing it because like I feel like I have to do it to make the corner. I think it does provide some margin of safety, to be honest. I maybe if I'm going in a corner, I'm thinking to myself, man, if I'm gonna go this speed, I don't have to hang off, but I probably should, just to, you know, give myself a little more margin for error if I'm gonna take this level of risk. So yeah, I mean, take the good with the bad, guys. You know, sometimes it's worth giving yourself a little bit extra there. For me, though, when hanging off, I think the number one requirement for me for hanging off on the street is visibility. Like, that reduced visibility from the hang off has to not be a big deal. Like, I have to be able to see through the corner while hanging off if I'm going to do it.
All clear. You're good. Go
More
ahead.
stops. We make a lot of stops. That's another good thing. The scooter has a small tank, but that wasn't really a problem. But getting off the bike a lot on a trip like this just does make it a lot more fun. Putting on your gear or taking off your gear and going inside and doing this, that, and the other is annoying, but yeah, on a trip like this it definitely works. It makes it take a lot longer, but you're a lot more fresh when you get there and when you get home.
That's why this is fun. We have a lane closure.
Yeah, here we got a little lane closure action. You gotta have some traffic on a ride. You can't just make it the whole way with no traffic. It's not.
We're all good.
It's not good luck, right? Anyway, I mean, I'm coming at you with all this information, right, about hanging off, and I just explained there, you know, why I'd say in general, it's just like, don't do it, but in specific situations, it's certainly a tool to have in your toolbox. But if you're gonna hang off, you need to know how to do it right, especially if you're moving your butt, because doing it wrong, like, again, the big downside is you're kind of stressed, you're tensing your body up to get yourself into that position. Because if you don't, you're going to get thrown around in the turn and by the bike and everything. And you're fighting against gravity, so you have to know kind of how to do it, how to set up your feet and your legs. And it's not hard or anything, but having some instruction really helps. And you want to move your, lower body before you start churning and yada yada and tip the bike
No,
in.
but I mean, it's don't try to kick something that you don't know what it is.
Oh yeah, I was talking there. I saw something on the road, like a
That's
shoe,
true for
and I was thinking about
everyone.
kicking it, but I was like, it's in the middle of the road, and
Yeah, can I have like a leg
like kind of this highway thing here. I'm not gonna kick it. Oh yeah, we're coming up on a pretty nice looking bridge.
A lot of bad things could happen. That'd be fine.
So pushing the bike down has its own set of positives and negatives. The big positive is that it makes you turn sharper, like with way less effort. I mean, especially at lower speeds. I mean, when you want to actually churn that sharply and actually churn the bike sharply, yeah, I mean, pushing the bike down makes a ton of sense. And then again, the degree of it is so important. Like, right, are you just kind of like, say you're making a left turn, are you just kind of leaning your upper body to the right and like locking your left arm out a little bit? Are you moving a butt cheek? Are you considering doing this while even standing up maybe? Because that's a technique as well. I've never heard of hanging off while standing up, but I'm sure you can do that, but please don't do that. Well, maybe you can, it doesn't matter.
I feel like it actually uses more energy.
I think that the upshot for me is, before I get into the counter leaning pros and cons, like how much you want to lean and what speed you're going determine, to me, what I'm going to do. Like if I want to lean the bike and make a really, really sharp turn, I'm going to need to, move my butt cheek and really just do the whole hog with the counterbalancing and push that bike down as far as I can. If I'm just making, a casual turn somewhere, I'll probably just kind of lean the opposite direction with my upper body a little bit, not even put really any muscle or effort into it, but, I won't lean as far as the bike. If I'm just riding around on the road, I'll probably, at higher speeds, let's say I'm going like 25 plus, I'm riding around on the road, I'll probably either be neutral or I'll lean in a little bit. And the reason for me, is it just honestly uses less energy. It uses less energy. I'm looser on the controls. I just don't have to think about it at all. Like what I'm concentrating on is, what's coming up ahead of me. What's going on, with the road coming up. Am I gonna have to suddenly brake or swerve or, again, take evasive action, something like that. And I'm just not worried about it. Now, if I'm riding at a more spirited pace, I think it really depends, right? I think for the most part, I'm going to be, just kind of hanging off very casually, hanging off, no lower body at all, maybe a little bit of upper body. The timing of that is definitely going to be interesting. I will hang off more and more as I go through the turn. So, like, as I'm braking and maybe even as I'm making my initial turn in, right, I'm going to have very neutral body position. This is, to help improve visibility. And in case I have to really trail brake hard, being neutral on the bike keeps me much, much safer because as 49, I think, or even someone else said, yeah, if you're going to be trail braking, man, on the street, hanging off and trail braking on the street, especially on blind corners, that is like maybe one of the dumbest things you can do in terms of your long-term survivability. I'm not saying the grip or anything like that's a problem. It's just, again, you're killing your visibility, right? If something unexpected is happening at the other, somewhere in that corner that you can't see, oof, you're committed. You're full send. You have a lot of speed and yada yada. You're braking hard already, so you're like using all your grip. Using grip like that on the road, no thanks. But even still, and also just in general, even on a racing application, when you're trail braking really hard and hanging off a lot, like you see those MotoGP guys do, I think you might also see in MotoGP that's like the number one way they crash. And that's because when you're hanging off and trail braking at the same time, you are putting an absolute shitload of work into that front tire because of everything you have going on. If you're more up top on the bike, you might be leaning more to achieve the same amount of churning. But when the tire starts to slip and slide a little bit due to your excessive trail braking, because you're on top of it, you have a much, much, much greater chance of not going down and crashing, like tucking the front. So now we're at a gas station, a little two-stroke bicycle, pretty cool. Anyway, so there's what I'm saying is I'm going on and on about this, right? We're 24 minutes in, and I thought I was going to talk about this for 5 minutes, and yet I'm 24 minutes into this video, and I won't shut up about all these little nuances and details. And yet, have I conveyed any real information to you, or is this just a rant, right? And the point of all this is, look at 49's video again with 8 minutes, just saying, oh, just push the bike down, don't hang off, or do hang off, right? There's a lot going on, and the funny thing is, I haven't even gotten to my big point against. I haven't even gotten to any of my points. This is like a Simpsons episode. So let's try to shift gears. So the final thing about hanging off is it definitely reduces grip. So it comes down to how sharp do you really need to turn, right? And how much visibility do you need? So I think when you need to make really sharp turns, I mean, you need more visibility. Say you're on like a road with no center line, that's like a windy mountain road, and you know you're going to be going pretty slow, and you need that visibility, right? So needing that visibility means your pace is not that high to begin with. In that case, pushing the bike down, I think makes sense. But I wouldn't, again, don't move your butt unless you have to. Just kind of lean a little less than the bike. That's it. That's all you have to do. You're going to be on top of the bike. Engage your core, you know, your stomach muscles, and engage your legs. That way, again, you're on top of the bike. If that's the way you want to play it, you're going to have a lot more control. But that uses energy. So I'm going to get to the next topic, and that is what I think really gets a lot of riders in trouble. And I think videos, like a lot of what we see, kind of gloss over things. We go on and on about techniques for riding, right? We go on and on about road strategies and things to do on the road to avoid getting yourself in bad situations. And then I think we also talk about things like drinking and riding, riding while tired and things like that. But I think we gloss over the whole third part there, and that is just your entire mindset when riding. I wouldn't say we gloss over it. It's just something that's easy to forget about and easy to underestimate, right? It's very, I think, appealing to us as human beings to want to put tools in our toolbox in the sense of, say, skills and even, you know, improving skills. Like, say you have a shitty hammer and I have a better hammer. I don't know. Bad analogy, but, you know, let's say, for instance, riding, like one skill we all want to have is braking, right? You start off, and the first time you get on a bike, you're probably very fast and jerky with the brakes, right? You go for the brakes and you just kind of grab them hard, or maybe you grab them too softly and then you squeeze them. You know, again, everything you're doing is you're feeling it out, and you don't really know what's going on yet. But then you start getting good feel for it, and you're able to brake pretty smoothly, and maybe even, you know, pretty hard as well. But then maybe you start throwing trail braking into the mix, and as I said, you're improving and you're getting better kind of in waves a little bit, or at least that can be the way it feels sometimes, right? Even if you are making maybe more linear progression.
So this is the town. Yeah, and that's like the one person.
Yeah, this is the town here. We were just rolling up the mountain there. I may be talking about it or not. I'd rather talk about my topic. I think the ride was cool and fine, but for me,
okay.
I mean, it was cool, fine. It was a great ride. It was a wonderful ride, but you're seeing the ride. You know, you can see the ride and listen to me talk about something else. It was fun though, yeah. I mean, we saw some cool stuff, and I think the coolest thing for me was, again, testing out the scooter and just having a chill ride to a chill place where we could go and the destination was rideable, you know, and I could ride the scooter around. So thumbs up for me. Anyway,
oh, this is okay.
Yeah, the way we learn, the way we think about this is, you know, as again, we become better riders by improving our skills, you know, gaining muscle memory.
Yeah, that's what I'm after.
And just becoming more confident, right? You know, you gain a better understanding of how the motorcycle works. You gain a better understanding of
this is like laid out like a
how to deal with roads.
I guess they never really.
Then you have a better understanding of how to deal with road hazards, like other road users, wildlife, inclement weather, etc.
Like some of those roads are.
And then finally, I think and as well as doing all that, you need to also understand yourself, right? What makes you as a rider tick? So I wrote a little list, and with that whole introduction and phrasing it that way, I'd like to go through all my notes. One thing is, I do apply this to driving as well. I think, and I say this a lot, and you've seen it in some of my videos where I've done like the sim racing stuff as well as the go-karting. I think there's a big crossover between riding and driving. People drive, and I think I don't enjoy the attitude people have when they drive, but I think that's another video for another day. I'm gonna go pull up my stuff here. All right.
We do have traffic behind us.
Pull this up. So this is again. So this is gonna be centered on public roads. This isn't riding on a racetrack or on the dirt. That is gonna. It's not a huge difference in a lot of what I'm about to say, but there are a number of kind of major enough differences that I don't want to.
Once these guys get by,
I don't want to conflate it. This is about public roads, so this is about riding with the goal.
What's up here?
The only goal is just getting home safe and having a reasonably fun time. Like, I'm not trying to set lap time, any kind of laps, no pushing it really to any high level. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that if I make a mistake, I'm crashing on the road in front of another car or something going, who doesn't care about me? Anyway, okay.
Up there.
Traffic tickets.
Oh, is this the highway here?
So when we start, right, whether we're 5 years old or 50 years old or whatever, we have to start from zero at some point, right? Maybe we've ridden a bicycle, but we've never really, like, for me, I had a good start. Before I ever got on a motorcycle, I'd ridden a bunch of bicycles on the road, maybe a little on the dirt. And I've been driving manual cars for, 10 years pretty much. So getting on a motorcycle is pretty easy, but even still, there's a lot of little steps, I think, that people who have been riding for a while but haven't taught anybody, which is me, do forget. And that is, of course, you have to learn all the controls. You don't know necessarily where the throttle is or how to even turn a motorcycle on, like the kill switch, or dealing with side stand and, having the bike in first gear versus neutral or second gear even. Yeah, how to deal with the shifter, right? How to, even for me, coming from a manual, 5 on the floor, whatever, usual transmission, or 6 on the floor transmissions, dealing with, a sequential manual with your foot is slightly different. So it takes a minute or two to figure it out. You have to be taught. And even dealing with these controls, there's levels to this, right? Like, especially dealing with things like the brakes, dealing with the transmission and the clutch and whatnot. Learning the clutch and the brakes is like, especially the clutch, it's like a lifelong skill. Oh my God. Like, if you're a dirt rider, the brakes, whatever, but being good with the clutch, I think, is something that's even more important. But that's another story. And then, of course, I'm going to make a concession for cars. Once you start moving around, yeah, there's the abandoned highway. Pretty cool stuff. And sorry I showed your face, but that's just the way it is. You were standing there in my shot. Yeah, like, for instance, say one of your first cars is like a big SUV or even just a sedan or a compact car. You have to kind of get that sense of spatial awareness. Like, where's the other side of my car, right? Like, where's the passenger side of my car actually on the road? Because you can't see it, right? I think I forget that a lot after I've been driving for a long time now. I don't even think about it. I can get in basically any vehicle, and very quickly I'm going to get a very good sense for, like, where the entire vehicle is, right? Where all four corners of the vehicle really are in the real world. But when you start driving, right, getting that sense is weird. It's hard. Also, I remember when I'm driving and riding, steering at first is very confusing. Like, in a car, like, how much to turn the wheel, and then especially, like, how to turn it back to center, like, smoothly. I think I remember when I started driving, I remember one time I just, like, turned it all the way, turned it pretty far in a turn, and then I was just like, all right, so I'm done with the turn, I'm going to let the wheel go. You can do that, but it's not very smooth, right? It's not going to work out for you. And on a bike, I think counter steering, you get it from a bicycle, but, like, because a motorcycle is so heavy, it's very important to know, right, how to be, not only to be intuitive and kind of have that intuitive steering that you get from riding a bicycle, but also how to deliberately make the motorcycle, like, quickly change direction. That's kind of a bit different from a bicycle. With a bicycle, again, like, it's so light that you almost just think it and it happens. You don't even need to know about counter steering. It certainly helps, but you don't need to know. With a motorcycle, you have to know. You can't make it turn. You can't make a 400-pound motorcycle turn quickly without knowing about counter steering. I'll say I'm on this road. I'm going pretty slow. I've got my little 12-incher. I'm kind of here at this point. I don't even want to ride fast. I mean, the scooter's not really for that. And I don't know. I was looking around for stuff to see. Like, are there going to be on this road? Is there anything like those little trails there? Just like what's going on, you know? Anyway. And then finally, I think as you get better at this and you start building levels with, you know, again, operating the bike, you know, all the controls, etc., you also start thinking about maintenance and, you know, doing T-clocks, for instance, and checking tire pressures. Well, that's part of it. But you know what I'm saying? Doing the whole, you know, fiddling with your bike, especially kind of deal. So that's pretty cool. But again, these are all tools, right? These are very important tools. You need all these tools in order to be a successful rider. So keep that in mind with the whole theme of what I'm going for here, right? So the next kind of group of things here, again, and maybe you learn that first, but this is all going to be happening pretty much in parallel. So you have road laws, navigation, right? I shouldn't even say road laws. You have roads, laws, and navigation. I need to retype that. And okay. And the first thing I say with all that is dealing with roads, dealing with road laws and navigation and all that is, where do you look? Where is it? Where do you need to be focusing your vision? That's the number one thing. That determines everything else you do. You know, if you're riding on a twisty mountain road versus if you are riding on a boulevard, on a suburb, or say one of those highways I was talking about before with all the cross traffic and high speeds, or maybe even an interstate with no cross traffic, or a busy city, et cetera, a dirt bike or a racetrack, you know, dirt bike park, racetrack, et cetera. That all influences where you look. And of course, the pace you're going as well, right? What's important to you determines where you look. Anyway, how to place my vehicle on the road, you know, especially with a motorcycle, what part of the lane am I going to be in? Taking lines on the street, you know, changing lanes and going through intersections and stuff. Oh my gosh, right? That could be so intimidating for newer riders, especially, and drivers. How fast to go, right? Do I go to speed limit? Should I go slower? Should I try to keep up with my friends? Should I just putt along at 5 miles an hour? Right. Oh my, so much to think about there, especially as a newer rider, and maybe even as someone who's more experienced, especially with changing conditions, right? And then of course, longer stretches, like how to do longer rides, dealing with sight reading, really technical and complex roads, especially at higher speeds. Again, there's just so many little skills here that you're developing. And again, think about all these tools you're adding to your toolbox, right? You had none of this knowledge, and now you're learning all of these small little skills as you're becoming a better rider, and you're adding all these tools, and you're starting to feel confident, right? Of course, you also have the other thing. Let me keep going because I wrote a lot of notes. Just again to really make this hit home. If you actually give a shit about what I have to say, wearing gear, right? Safety in general, right? Again, I think when you start riding, your image of motorcycling definitely isn't wearing gear, especially like the kind of gear street riders really to actually ride a lot do tend to wear. Safety in general, right? Just attitude and all that. As I said before, I mean, I'm going to say it again. Where are you focusing your attention? Not necessarily your vision, but in general, your attention. I talked about all that vision stuff before, but how about instead of, you know, looking ahead, you're looking at your gauges, or you're looking at your GPS, or you're looking at your phone, right? Or say, how about focusing your attention on what's going on at this intersection, or what's going on around this corner? You're thinking about, hey, what am I going to be having for dinner later? Or, man, do I have enough money to get gas or pay my mortgage? Whatever. I don't want to be too dark, but yeah, exactly. Also, depending on your pace and what you're trying to accomplish, are you trying to find parking? Are you trying to attack the corners? Are you trying to, you know, navigate fog and rain? You know, that can change things. Again, these are all skills that you develop. You don't even think about it. It just kind of happens. The first couple of times you do something, you kind of maybe make some small mistakes even, right? And you remember those, and then the next time it happens, you don't. And so again, maybe that tool is very simple and crude, but you have it. How about things like following distance, lane position? How close are you willing to follow and when? And, maybe, again, where are you going to put your bike in different situations? That's always a huge topic, right? Oh, man. How about anticipation of bad things happening, right? Like, that car looks like he's about to do something stupid. I mean, I think we've all been, any experienced driver will tell you that sixth sense for when another motorist is about to do something stupid is super, super important to have for like your longevity on the roads. You know what I mean? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that is so true. When you see someone ahead of you or behind you or whatever to the side of you about to do something stupid and you're able to get out of the way way before they do the stupid thing. And then it happens. You're like, wow, I'm glad I reacted to that, 10 seconds ago or 2 seconds ago rather than, having to make a ridiculous emergency maneuver or just getting freaking smashed into. I mean, let's be honest. You have to accept this as a rider or a driver. Like, there are situations out there where it's just snap and you're done. That's it. Game over. There's nothing you can do. You can do everything right. Take every precaution. Only ride in the safest time. There's no way to be 100% safe. So anyway, that's about all that. With all that said, so I went through all those. Those are really all the main tools I can think of for road riding. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure, heck, there might even be other categories that I completely eschewed or glossed over. Doesn't matter. What I'm really trying to hit home is all of these things we've been learning as riders. What I think what happens is, you kick the ball after I didn't kick the shoe. Yeah, that's riding. No, I don't know. that thought was funny. Anyways, yeah, again, we're getting all these tools where, getting better and better as riders. Our fundamentals are getting better. We're getting more techniques. We're getting more tools. We're better tools. So on and so forth. What's happening though is we can ride at a pretty competent level with very low amounts of attention being paid to what's going on, and that definitely starts to happen. We get on comms with each other and shoot the shit. We might end up, what am I trying to say? Drinking and riding, or riding because we're angry, or riding because we have to do something even though we really don't want to. And those things are to me where real problems for experienced riders start to creep in. It's not, I think most issues that experienced riders face, so say you've been riding for 2+ years, this is who I'm talking to now. All that stuff I was talking to before, I think you can listen to that and kind of understand it as a beginner rider, but as a experienced rider, what I'm about to talk about now, if you haven't been riding for 2 straight years, like a lot, you probably won't understand what I'm talking about here. You become very, again, as I said before, you become very comfortable, but your attitude is so much more important than the actual skills you have. You have developed a set of skills by 2 years of riding that are adequate. Whether or not you're a good rider, or I consider you a good rider or not, is almost irrelevant. You're able to get on the bike and just ride around without really thinking about it too much. It's second nature pretty much at this point. And that in itself creates a whole set of problems. And I honestly think that you need a bunch of tools in your toolbox to deal with these problems, and those tools are just as important as any of the other tools. Like and I'm going to go over some of these tools that I think we all should have in our toolbox, and we should use them. Not just have them, we should use them.
Oh yeah.
And we should use them and make sure that we really are not neglecting
enough riders actually
this, because if we do, again, I think a lot of us want to be old riders. That's what at least Danny Walker at Super Camp says, right? We want you to be old riders, and if you want to be an old rider, I think this is what you have to do. And the first tool you need to have is your ability to evaluate your own mental state. Like, and that's difficult. I think everyone has to work on that. Me especially, of course, or me just like everyone else, if not more so. Are you able to concentrate? That's the question you need to ask yourself. I wrote it somewhere. Yeah. Am I able to concentrate and properly perform while riding on the public roads? And I mean, that's kind of a specific question. I'm not saying think about those exact words, but again, ask yourself, can I concentrate? Can I focus? Am I physically able to perform? And I don't care what the reason for. If the answer is no, then hopefully you don't have to ride. You need to concentrate. You know, that's like your only. It's your only hope. Without that ability, every other skill you have is useless. You're zoning out, not focusing what's happening, not living in the moment, whatever you want to call it. When you're doing that, when you're not in the moment, when you're not paying attention, you have no skills. You're basically just saying, Jesus, take the wheel. You know, let physics do its thing, because you're not actually controlling the bike. You're kind of just going. Maybe you got the throttle open, or you're steering a little, kind of just following the road, but you're not there. And if something unexpected happens, well, you're not going to. While the situation physically might go from 0 to 100, mentally you can't. You can't go from 0 to 100 that quickly. It might take less than a second for you to go from 0 to 100. It does. It takes less than a second, but it takes more than half a second. It really does. So that half a second, though, that's the difference. I mean, there is so much that's going to happen in that amount of time out on the roads. So it really stinks, but I mean, that's the key, because it's so easy, I think, when we're doing a ride like this, and this is a very long video, and that's why I'm bringing it up like this. We're doing a ride like this, and it's very difficult to maintain focus for the whole ride. It's so easy to find yourself in a position where you're like, wait, what happened 10 minutes ago? And it stinks, because that's when bad things happen to good people, in my opinion. You know, we're not out here trying to be aggressive. We're not out here attacking corners or do anything. But as weird as it sounds, sometimes if you're an experienced rider, and I would say if you're a decent rider, sometimes that can almost be safer than just cruising down the boulevard. Because when you're out there, like, quote unquote, attacking the corners, hopefully you're not really pushing yourself at all, or outriding your sight lines. But when you're doing that, you're paying attention.
Moving around a little.
You know, you're not zoned out. You're not thinking about what's for dinner. You're thinking about, when do I need to brake? When do I need to turn in? Where am I going to draw my line through this corner? Where am I going to look? What are the hats? Like, you know what I mean? You're like in survival mode. You're in, like, I want to ride mode. But when you're out here on the roads sometimes, cruising around, not doing what I'm doing here with these stupid potholes on a 12-inch tire, but, like, when you're cruising around on the highway or the boulevard or whatever, man, I don't know. You're putting yourself in this situation where it's almost like you're cutting your effectiveness by 90%, right? So, like, you're taking away 90% of your skills and abilities. And so if something does go wrong, you're in this position where you might as well have only been riding for a week. I'm not even kidding around. That's the position you're finding yourself in, and it sucks. I'm not saying I won't ever be in that position. Yeah, it can happen to anyone. I don't care if you're fucking Marc Marquez. This can happen to you when you're riding along and you're not paying attention, and then the situation goes from 0 to 100 when you're not paying attention. Yeah, absolutely. Any chance you had is gone, and it really sucks. It's when bad things happen to good people, for sure. The other thing is practice. That's where we can protect ourselves against this. So, evaluation of your mindset is. I'm going to go back to that for a second, because that's really important. You want to do that before you get on the bike, but you also want to do it while you're on the bike. Not like, you know, every 2 seconds, but, you know, every 30 minutes to an hour. It's usually a good thing to think, hey, am I still okay? You know, maybe if you zone out for a second and you realize, I don't remember the last 5 minutes of riding. It's like I just rode 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever minutes, and it's just like it just passed. I don't even remember doing it. I was completely mindless. I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't mindful about what's happening. Yeah, maybe it's time to pull over. Maybe it's time to take a break. Okay, that's all I can tell you. Next is, you know, or do something. Maybe really try to absolutely double, triple, whatever down on concentrating. I'm not you, but just again, consider it.
3 or 4 minutes.
Drink some water, get hydrated, like actual hydration, and don't drink a soda or an energy drink. Drink effing water.
So let's do it. Okay.
We're gonna go up there real quick, and then we're gonna head out.
Sweet.
Another person's face I put in the video. Sucks to be you.
Hold on, honey. 2 seconds.
Y'all are getting it. I don't know. Maybe I'll blur people out. I don't know. We'll see. I probably will. That would be pretty fun. Get back in the mood. Anyway, the next thing is practice. So if you maybe when bad things happen, regardless of how much you're paying attention, you tend to need to react in a very, very, very fast way.
Yeah, this was it.
And when that happens, it's gonna be a fight or flight situation.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I was talking about.
Fight or flight. And when that happens,
you can ride up that. It's really
you're not going to rise to the occasion, right? You're going to kind of fall down to like the way you practice and what you kind of really, really know in your muscle memory. So you need to get out there and practice. And not only do you need to practice, you need to practice correctly. You need to do repetitions, correct repetitions, so that it just happens without you thinking about it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. You need to just get, and that's the only way you can do it. So that when bad things happen in the real world, when bad things happen in the real world, you know, you perform. Hopefully.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, having a little too much fun. But yeah, I really think that's it. And honestly, practice is something I still don't fully understand. I try to do things. I have not been getting out enough lately. To be perfectly fair, and I need to do it more, but well, the GS is down for the count. I don't really like practicing too much on the scooter. I think the brakes, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I mean, I think that's kind of the whole topic from the paper's perspective, right? We got to develop these tools. That's cute. We got to develop these tools that allow us.
Oh wow, that is really beautiful. Look at that little castle thing.
Yeah, we got to develop these tools that allow us to, you know, ride effectively, but we also have to give ourselves every opportunity to use those tools when the time comes up. And I mean, after saying it out loud all like this, I mean, it sounds so obvious and like preachy to me, and it is. It has to be. I guess I'm saying it to myself. I mean, I think anyone who knows me maybe knows why sometimes I get a little ridiculous about this kind of stuff. Especially with this video. And it's funny how this was all spawned by 4.9, right? Just getting really back to the beginning here. I think the reason is I think when you talk about body position and that becomes this big debate, it's kind of funny to me because to me body position is one tiny little tool in this toolbox. Like it's almost like not even very important at all to me on the street. Like it's like the last thing you need to be thinking about. Like once you start mastering, like not even mastering, once you can start once you can start almost mindlessly, you know, cornering and stuff, then maybe you can start thinking about body position because you've got all the other stuff just happening. Now you can be like, okay, I'm looking here, churning here, yada yada, but then you're also thinking about, okay, I'm gonna hang off, or I'm gonna do this or that or the other, right, with your body position, or I'm gonna hang off or push the bike down or do this or that. I don't know. If you're kind of sitting there worried about it all the time, if it's fun for you, then do it. I think that's important to note as well. Having these different tools, like again, just being able to mindlessly hang off or push the bike down is fine. I think one thing to finally take in mind with that body position debate there that I didn't think about before was sometimes when you know how to do both, like I do, for instance, I'm not like maybe an expert, I'm maybe in this level where I know enough to be dangerous. I mean, I'm certainly there. What can happen is you end up doing the wrong thing, like by mistake. Like for instance, like you know, like in retrospect or anything, you should know because you have the skills and the tools and you're usually right. But for some reason, you think, man, I'm gonna push the bike down when you should have hung off because it's like a high-speed corner, or even I think vice versa is what happens to me sometimes. Like especially on the dirt or when I'm trying to do something low speed, for whatever reason, I'll hang off when I meant and I knew I should have pushed the bike down, but I hung off instead like an idiot, and that was just a bad idea, you know. I don't think I've ever really got caught out by that or even close, because honestly, that kind of situation is just like, thankfully if you hang off instead of pushing the bike down, unless you're like really riding fast on dirt, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. You're just kind of going to go wide a little bit, you know. You shouldn't be riding that fast anyways when you're pushing the bike down. again, with a dirt bike, that's a different situation. That's like a racetrack situation, right? You're on a private land, private road. There's no speed limits or anything like that. So we get this feeling like, let's go crazy, let's have fun, you know? That's what fun is to me, is pushing my limits and becoming a better rider and yada yada. I think that's a rant for another day though. What's your mindset is, what your goals are, right? What do you expect to get out of the ride? I think, you know, I want to say that might be another tool in your toolbox, actually. So I'll put that as a third tool for mental evaluation. What do you expect to get out of this ride?
Oh, you mean at like the
if this is a ride to a destination, you know, are you expecting to get there at a certain time?
Really, because I did it.
In a certain condition. If this is a ride, say, to some twisty mountain roads, are you expecting to attack the roads and have fun? Are you going to be disappointed? Are you going to be disappointed if you're stuck behind a box truck? Or for the other one, are you going to be disappointed if you're there 20 minutes late? You know, or something like that. Does that make sense? Like, what do you, or for instance, like if you're going to the track, are you going to be disappointed if you don't set a new lap time, or if you don't, you know, drag knee for the first time? You know, something like that. Again, I'm not saying these are bad things to expect. I'm not. I mean, honestly, they could be, but I'm not saying necessarily they are. Oh yeah, the staring at the sun. I put some staring at the sun moments, so you have to feel my pain with me. Feel my pain. But yeah, I think that's really important because what you expect to get out of a ride should definitely influence, one, am I okay? Like, okay to say put down to the gas station and fuel up your bike or get some groceries. That's different from, am I okay to ride 500 miles? That's different from, am I okay to go take this dirt bike out and do a bunch of jumps or, you know, really gnarly trails, etc. So you definitely need to be, again, I think the key word for staying really staying safe and really being a good rider is mindfulness. Having the tools is great and all, but even if you have all the tools in the world and you know how to use them and your muscle memory is great and et cetera, if you're not there, if you're not in the moment, when the time comes, when it matters, you're screwed. You're screwed. You have zero chance. And you might not, and you know, when the time comes, you might not have a chance. You know, all the tools in the world might not save you. All the mindfulness in the world might not save you. But I'm telling you, if you're in the moment when the time comes, you have a much greater chance, usually, statistically at least. Again, I'm pausing for the cause. I'm not really sure where to continue with this one. I think with the scooter, let's get back to the scooter then. So guys, I mean, I think this is the think about your riding video. I'm not going to lie. Out of all the videos I've made, this is the one I think, I'm not going to say this is my most important or, you know, if you have to watch one of my videos, watch this one. No, I don't think that's it. I think this is just me really finally trying to put what think about your riding might mean. Maybe I've been saying it long enough and thinking about that phrase long enough to put down what think about your riding might mean. Okay. So, I mean, we're only 58 minutes into an hour and 8 minutes with 10 minutes left. It's hilarious. So anyways, yeah, I mean, let's get back to the scooter. And what I wanted to say about the scooter is it's comfortable. I'm not going to lie. I think I was more comfortable on the scooter than I was on the GS. And I think the main reason is you get the, if you get a dual footwell kind of thing with not even a dual, you get this whole big footwell where you kind of put your feet wherever you want. You can put them in a position that's even more aggressive than the GS by a little bit, where your feet are pretty much like under your butt or even a little bit behind them. Or you can put them foot forward and up like highway pegs on a Harley. And the cockpit is a little cramped, especially because I have 30-inch inseam, so and it's a little cramped, but honestly, it's really comfortable. Yeah, if you pay attention, you know, and just sit up straight and, you know, have good posture, it really is an all-day bike in terms of comfort. The mirrors are pretty good. The bike is smooth as hell for a single. Honestly, it's smooth as hell for any bike, and for a single, it's ridiculous. No, it's not an inline four, you know. 600 or something. That's just butter, but not many bikes are. What else? The brakes. The brakes are good, but there's a bit of like vibes that are going on. I think I'm gonna end up making an appointment and getting the oil changed and getting maybe just having them test ride it and see if they can think of anything. I don't know how much that might end up costing or not, but it's worth taking a look at to see if maybe I need new rotors or a wheel balance or something. Maybe my shocks are again, maybe my shocks or forks. I'm sorry, my forks are leaking or something, and I haven't noticed. Yeah. I tried looking a couple of times actually when I first noticed the shutter, but I didn't see anything, and I still don't see anything. So I could either be looking bad or whatever. Anyway, there's not a whole lot else to say. So now we're putting on home. Again, with the sun, it always kind of stinks. I feel like with these long trips, riding home has been the worst, especially going northeast to southwest, because it's like you're riding right in the sun on the way home. Ugh. This was beautiful, though. This was such a contrasty and like high dynamic range scene, like when I was seeing it with my eyes. But with this, not so much. It's all just like washed out, right? And then that's not even just the dynamic range of the camera. It's also like the perspective with the really super wide fisheye lens throwing things off. It's also, my eyes are a few inches higher than the camera mount as well, right on my chin. And that does adjust the perspective on a situation like that quite a bit. Yeah. What are you going to do? So now we rode on and we made our final stop, and now we're headed home. It's going to mostly be dark riding from here on out. You could hear there's no sound on a lot of these clips, and I didn't do that. It's not like I didn't want to like share the conversation. I don't care about stuff like that, but wow. The GoPro just didn't record a bunch of sound. It's a bummer. It almost looks like scan lines to noise in this. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we're riding back, and I mean, you can see a lot better in real life than the camera can see at night. So keep that in mind. The light on the scooter is fine. Is it great? No, but I could see fine. I never even really thought about it at all. Oh man, yeah, I gotta keep talking because there's no wind noise, there's no background noise. What's happening right now? It's so quiet. It's unnerving. So now it's just fully dark. This is wild to see on the camera. That's the thing you kind of have to accept with these all-day trips too. Riding at night. And riding at night can be, quite a bit more dangerous than riding during the day, right? With the reduced visibility, you also have people who tend to be more drunk and the roads are more open. So not only are people going faster, they're also paying less attention and like, again, with the whole value, am I okay to ride? Like, I think at night, again, always consider the circumstances. Am I okay to ride in the cold? Am I okay to ride in the wet or the snow or the whatever? The answer might be yes. Of course I can ride in the cold. I've got heated gear and it's working, Of course I can ride in the rain, my tires are okay and I know what I'm doing, etc. And I'm alert. I can okay. I made this video too early because now I'm actually starting to get kind of tired. Like I need to go back to sleep and take a 6 a.m. nap. I don't know. Maybe doing this gives me a slightly different perspective on things. Since I typically make these, I've made a couple like in the morning, but never this early. I usually make them, I would say, oh yeah, riding over the curve like that. I mean, I feel like that's kind of how bad things can happen. Although, I mean, that was not a big deal. I don't know. Urban enduro or suburban enduro or sub-suburban enduro, whatever the hell this is. Oh, man. This was a fun ride, though. I mean, just to sum up the ride a little bit, since I guess I never did that before. If you're still listening, if you're the guy who ran the ride, I mean, I hope you didn't take this the wrong way because I really, really enjoyed the ride. Honestly, it was really fun. The destination was a riding destination, you did consider, you tried your best to consider everybody and get us out of there on time. There was too much to do. I mean, that's the problem. I think a lot of the other stuff we could have done, I think we missed the smoldering field section, but at the same time, when would we have done that? We would have had to skip another part, and I think that the stuff we did do was a lot of fun. So I don't think I would have traded the stuff we did for the smoldering fields. Maybe, I don't know, but I still appreciate what we did. I mean, I didn't show it on camera, but the graffiti highway was really interesting, especially the way they covered it up. It just had this really bleak and just ugly kind of like corporate post-apocalyptic awfulness to it, which honestly was kind of cool. I mean, just knowing that you had this highway, which, I mean, considering the story of the town and what was going on with the highway, it was kind of like this cool like community symbol, like bringing people together, and they decided just to ruin it for some reason, right? Because they didn't like, I don't know, they didn't like what was going on there, or maybe it was costing them money or something, so they got rid of it as best as they could. But we're still there. We're still making it happen, right? We're still using that place to get together and have some sense of, communal or bonding or something. So this is me exiting. Yeah, this is the last clip, actually. Wow. That's just too funny. They're cruising down the highway. I'm passing them and getting off here. And then I end up making a stop at my local gas station and then going home. I always appreciate it when you guys are here, and I always give this little sappy speech on these longer videos because, I mean, I've kind of said everything I feel like I need to say, right? I've kind of been struggling for words here just a little bit at the end. Longer video, I definitely took notes, so I wasn't just like incoherently rambling as much as I normally do. Maybe a good bit, but not quite as much, right? I do appreciate everyone on the ride and just having all this stuff. The ability to do this, we ride, hopefully for fun, and mixing the different motivations and expectations of people can be very difficult. And I think when you have a lot of people in a group ride, I think it's inevitable that someone's always going to be left a little disappointed. And that certainly wasn't me on this ride. But I think that's inevitable, and something you have to remember when you're leading rides or any kind of group activity is that it's going to happen. I would say don't take it personally, but it is kind of personal. It's not. It's just you're going to have to brush it off. You're going to have to consider their feelings, but then at the same time just say, if I were to have accommodated you, it would have been someone else who got screwed over, and it's just the way these things worked out, So... anyway, I mean, I want you all to stay safe. I want you all to think about your riding. That's it, man. Peace, guys.